Trigger warning for basically everything when it comes to this video. You have been warned. Vii Omega was a content creator who had common ties to the SCC, also known as the Slideshow commentary community, with a list of many controversies, allegations, and crimes under their belt. But over the course of time, anyone who has spoken about them has been outed as an awful person in their own right, and left the platform. This video will aim to remedy that by going through the history of Vii Omega's online activity. And trust me, it is a long history. So without further ado, let's begin. The timeline of Vii Omega's history is hard to find a starting point on, given a lot of the content around this person has vanished off the internet, alongside the fact that the SCC/Slideshow commentary community, which Vii was a part of, found its start on Skype, and since May the 5th, 2025, the site has since shut down. However, we do have knowledge of this happening due to Susie Doodletones' Skype archives, where the pair started messaging on the 17th of May, 2017, where the pair would even discuss Susie's diaper fetish and Vii's own creation of quote-unquote gay Pokemon smutfics. Vii's history in online content creation and said communities does extend further back than this, where he tried getting into a group called the CC. Yes, for some reason people were really hard set on branding their communities they were a part of. Vii Omega went under the name of SketchTB back then, where the community was focused around their issues with the way the SEC was ran and their content around 2016 to 2017, where said alt-CC community was ran by a person called Dylan Thomas and Dark Scythe, the former of which was someone Vii had an absolute obsession with up until someone in the alt-CC's Discord server decided to post gore to see who could handle it, causing Vii to distance himself from the group until late in 2017, Dylan and Vii buried the hatchet, where Vii would later claim he quote-unquote defeated the alt-CC, which is something, I guess? Again, a lot of the stuff from back then was quite petty in terms of reasonings for having beef and arguments. I mean, come on. This is the community where people would start fights over which Pokemon is better. Vii Omega would then later on leave the alt-CC, creating a joint Twitter account meant to clan on the CC called the Neo-alt-CC. Yes, I'm aware this part may sound like mad ramblings, but it will be very important to remember later into this video, along with me cutting out any petty Pokemon dramas along the way. In 2018, an SCC member named BomberRatsu had been questioning their gender identity, leading to a conversation with Vii Omega, where Vii basically said Ratsu was faking their identity, and this would continue into a stream hosted by Doodletones on the 28th of the 4th, 2018, where Ratsu, who was 12 at the time, was making comments in the live chat, leading to Vii crashing out at them during said stream. For context, Frosty Bomb was BomberRatsu's old username.
What the? What the hell? Frosty.
Don't worry.
No, not you. No, Frosty Bomb. It's just like, Jonah, let others talk. What the fuck is up with you, Benjamin? Okay? No, that's it. Fuck it. Benjamin, you are able to talk as much as Jonah is. Don't try to fucking tell people what to do. Okay? You try to fucking go on to others and try and fucking tell them, no, stop telling me to do this. Stop telling me to do that. Oh, I'm not Benjamin. I'm not this. Stop telling blah, blah, blah. No. No. Benjamin, you're gonna have to understand something. When it comes to you being as fucking irritating as you are, and you fucking obviously lying about who you are, no one is going to take you seriously within this community. Nobody. Okay? Legit, you are fucking getting on everybody's at this point. You have irritated how many people? And you trying to tell people what to do on, like, over this, when you have just as much as power as Jonah does within this stream, no, I cannot fucking sit here and let you just keep on going off like this.
I was just saying, act your age that way. If you're not...
He's like 12 or 10.
I know, but act your age. If you are the teenager or the pre-teenager, you better be acting your age, because I don't know either.
I wasn't even angry, Jonah. I was just more so irritated because freaking Frosty Bomb earlier, like he ended up blocking me because I just kind of got a little bit irritated with him. Like he goes hi and I say hey and he goes I'm trying to fill a call and I go okay and it's like no one has come and I only have 3 people in my call and I go okay and he goes that's all, I need 1 person in my call and I said I don't care and then just like still I do even though I'm stupid. It's like and I should care why? Look, I'm in my own call. I don't need to go into another call. Okay. I don't need to go into into another call with people I don't like really want to talk with. I'd prefer to be with friends or people I know. And then it's just like
yes. Probably he's.
This is for everybody else. In fact, whenever you're in a Google Doc, you have the same icon as
probably
Benjamin,
doing
and
gay
ironically
things.
enough,
I'm
the
back.
same name as him in the doc. And he goes, "I don't care. I swear I ain't stopped talking about this." And I go, "Okay, so you don't care that I'm calling you Benjamin, even though you go out of your way to say that you're not him? I'm sorry, mister, I'm only trans in commentaries. I don't buy that." And it's like, you know what I ain't, because reasons, and then this is his reasons. Objectively amazing reasons. One, it's mostly, well, pointless drama that was supposed to be there, and two, I'm blocking by, have a nice day. And I wrote
Alright.
XD, but like,
We've hit the mark where I'm about to swap calls. You guys have a good one.
Now, the cut down clips I've just shown you are only 3 minutes. However, this rant went on for over 10 minutes long during the live stream. I mean, how pathetic do you actually have to be to start yelling about a 12-year-old on a live stream? This may seem like a small instance, but it will show the beginning of a pattern with Vii when it came to their views on trans identity. On the 27th of June 2020, the user Jonieroo released a twit longer talking about their own experience with Vii Omega dating back to 2018, when Joni was 16 to 17 and Vii was 18 to 19, explaining the grooming and mental abuse they had received from Vii over that time, meeting through Skype and becoming friends quickly. Things slowly became more intimate in 2018, where Vii and Joni would send each other lewd imagery from furry sites, joking about how Vii quote-unquote corrupted them, even stating to Vii they weren't a porn person in January of 2018. But after a month, Vii sent them porn of Joni's persona. This behaviour continued into March, where the teasing became a lot more intense, leading into long periods of erotic role-playing. At this time, Joni was questioning their sexuality, and Vii had helped them with this realization, but never gave them actual advice on it, instead sending Joni pictures of his dick. The twit longer goes on to describe how Vii would oust Joni, questioning their gender identity to Joni's at-the-time partner. Given that their at-the-time partner was gay, and Joni was coming out as a woman, it was quite a stressful realization, so the fact Vii ousted Joni without letting her do it in her own time was a gross breach of trust. Once Vii learnt about this, they would constantly say that Joni was faking their trans identity, basically calling them a transtrender. A thing to note, given that Vii had no issues when Joni came out as pansexual, as that would still fall in line with Vii's own sexual preference, which is important given something that we would later learn in Vii's response is how they had a crush on Joni at the time. Starting with the aforementioned outing of Joni's gender identity to their partner, telling Joni how they weren't happy with her, questioning why Joni was hiding their gender identity from her parents, and Joni explaining how it was her anxiety, followed by Vii calling them immoral by hiding this from people close to them, and how he wouldn't support it. This conversation continues, with Vii berating her and using controlling language like, "But now I am under the thought process of you not being non-binary or trans, and I think that you need professional help. And stop going to people who obviously don't know anything, because you won't listen to me, you won't do the right thing anymore." Keep in mind, during all of this, Joni was still in her class at school, and I will note this conversation was only a few days after Vii had outed her to her partner, as seen in these messages we now have access to that weren't in the original document. Joni: "Yep, unless he messaged me back when we talked and stuff. I'm pretty sure he broke up with me. You guessed dead on. Vii, please don't tell me you're tied into this." Vii: "Honestly, I would like to say I'm not." Joni: "You're the one who sent him the twit longer, aren't you?" Vii: "Yeah, I won't lie to you. I will be straight up honest." Joni: "Vii, I trusted you. I trusted everyone. Why?" Vii: "I don't like that you were hiding something like that from the most important person to you, and when I told you to talk to him." Joni: "I won't deny I'm heavily at fault for all this, but Vii, you didn't. You obviously wouldn't listen to me, and I wanted him to snap you out of it. But instead, he was more angry about the fact that you lied to him and hid shit." Joni: "The only reason I hid it away was because I was scared, especially after a convo that happened in the past. I should have talked to him. I know that, but Vii, why? This is just, he was everything to me, and now I probably lost him." Vii: "Joni, you expect me to not say something at least a concern to Buddy when you aren't talking to them? Honestly, you're basically telling me I should have let you hurt my son essentially. And well, I'm sorry. I tried telling you in a concerned way, then a civil way, and then a stern way. All times you didn't listen to me. Why would you have this time if I told you, Joni, tell Buddy? I'm sorry, but did you want me to tell him to go to New York to see you, and then he basically gets crushed to find out you're now a woman? I'm sorry, but Buddy means a lot more to me than you'd think. I'd do anything to help him and make sure he's okay. I don't like that I violated your trust, but you know what? Were you ever gonna actually tell Buddy? Or was he gonna find out some other way when the relationship has gone as far as it has? Joni, I don't know when. I was planning on keeping it a secret for a few weeks at least. I was afraid and anxious of talking to you or Buddy on it. Buddy mostly, due to an interaction we had prior to me realizing. Well, everything is in that twit longer. I'm sorry, I feel so betrayed. He was the thing that kept me going most in life, and I ruined it. I ruined it all. V, you have all right not to like me, but you know what? I hate the fact that you hurt my son knowing that I would. And well, the fact that you hid shit all the time, and you lied to them about stuff he had to know. I was hoping that it was going to be a conversation of him saying that you talked to him around the same time I told you to talk to him, but instead, it was about a month ago. And it wasn't even that big. You vent daily about your problems related to that. You trust me and so many other people to talk to about that. But you wouldn't trust your own partner? You wouldn't even let them know? What did you expect me to do after I found out that Buddy knew absolutely nothing? The person who would be affected just as much as you, if not more? Joni, when I told him about being non-binary, V, I know you don't like that I violated your trust. Joni, this ended up being said, quote, I just wanted everything to go okay while at Dad's. When I saw the pic, I thought you were trans and we were over. I thought that everything was over. End quote. I was scared. Anxiety just got to me and I didn't want to say anything. I hate this. I hate that you are right. V. Yeah, but that doesn't give you the right to fucking actively destroy your relationship and then get mad at me for daring to stick up for my fucking son. Why are you getting mad at me when I and Buddy have all right to be mad at you? You didn't listen to me. You wouldn't talk to me when you had an issue to try and actually deal with your problem. And you didn't even talk to Buddy. Instead, let's talk to Tumblr people and use made up fucking BS to try and make me feel validated because trans is the new hip thing and I cannot be a male that happens to be more femme than most. I'm sorry, but if you want to say that I hurt you, I'm sorry that I did. I really am. And now, back to the original document. V continues. More importantly, you're only getting me more angry the more you lie by admission, and more importantly want to actively prove to me that I should have the reason to think you're going to change. Like Joni, how can you be sexual when you're non-binary? Now aside from V trying to belittle and berate Joni over a personal choice that V should in no way have any say over, either Vii Omega is being even more malicious or outright idiotic by stating non-binary people cannot be sexual. And even then, what business is it to an 18-year-old if a 16-year-old can or cannot be sexual? Joni does defend this by stating how uncomfortable they feel and how she knows herself better than anybody, and V was just trying to use his personal beliefs to override how Joni felt. And how despite that, they still wanted to be friends with V. V continues by stating they think being non-binary isn't a real thing, and how it's just a phase, and how he's never seen an adult who is non-binary, which is, again, fucking ridiculous. Followed by V implying that Joni is a transgender, and how they're angry that they never spoke to V about it beforehand, and in V's mind, that somehow gives credence to Joni not being trans. This part specifically highlights V's extremely controlling nature around others around him, and especially Joni, feeling obligated to all information around Joni's gender identity. The following messages are quite long, but I feel it important to read these out because it's genuinely sickening how V thought this was okay. Joni, I can't hate. Hate is a really strong word for me, but I won't lie in saying that makes me really peeved. V, and not even try to talk to me about how you were before any of this. I feel like I cannot trust you because you wouldn't trust anyone else with that information aside from people who obviously don't know what they're talking about. Ah yes, because Vii Omega is an absolute expert on trans identity. He continues, "You may be as mad with me as you like, but when you and I can both agree that you didn't listen and have no reason not to learn from your past mistake by not being honest with the people who need to know it most, what reason do I have to give you any respect? Like, why should I be respectful of your identity if you can't even be honest about it? I get that people will become more sensitive at times when time progresses, but this is honestly to a point where your oversensitivity has you in a bind, doesn't it? Honestly, I even question myself about even discussing this with you. It's obvious you're not going to listen to me when I have tried to help you before, so I gave up realizing my words of advice are ignored. So instead, I'm giving you my personal thoughts and my feelings, because maybe that matters more to you, or maybe it doesn't, I don't know. I just want my friend back. I just want them to snap out of this, and I want them to go back to who they actually are, because this isn't you. You changed a lot, and I don't like it. And no, I'm not referring to the non-binary thing here. Your mentality changed. Your way of handling yourself has changed. In some areas, you have gotten better, but at what cost? Joni, I know you're not. You want the me back who could confine stuff to you easily, right? V. Well, Joni, here's what I'm gonna say. It looks like that you want to lie to people that matter to you most, and what you said on your vent account, it shows me that you're willing to lie to your parents because of this fear. And seeing as I can never know what you're truly thinking, I can never know if you're ever being honest with me, or anyone for that matter. I think you even lie to yourself and you don't even realize it. You think I like being like this in general? Be honest here. Actually no, pretend to be honest because I can't be sure anymore. Joni, I don't think that. I think this pains you more than anything else. Bringing up what happened with Buddy, all of this. You know I feel low. You know and see how bad I've gotten over time. With my fear and anxiety, only a sadist would enjoy this, so no, I don't think you like this at all. We've been friends for 2 years, V. You would never enjoy this. V. I want you to be better, but when you refuse to listen to me, when it's obvious that I know how to deal with this a lot better than you, and probably anyone else you talk to about this, it gives me the impression that when you hide things, when you lie about things and won't listen, it comes off to me that you only want me around for emotional support and don't care about how I feel or what I think, and I hope to fucking God you understand that. Yes, V, because that's what a friend is meant to do. They're meant to be there for emotional support. Joni continues, that's not it either. I can see that perspective. I can see it well. I'll be honest, with the identity thing alone, I'm scared and anxious about talking with you. Everything else though, I think it's just that one other problem I can't seem to learn from as hard as I try in that I don't want people to worry about me too much. A lesson I should have learnt from, but I fear has gotten worse. V. I just want my fucking friend back. Non-binary or not, I just want them back. V. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I honestly am not a fan of how you went about your transition, and it definitely feels like a personal attack when you know my struggles in the past of when I had to go through trans thoughts. And when you say there is also no criteria to being trans, it feels like you are invalidating tons of pain I had to go through. And when you also suddenly shift gears with yourself, with two major things without really listening to much of what I or others had told you with the best of intentions. It felt like you genuinely had no respect for what I had to say, or how I felt, and same with others. It really feels like that your main reason for you thinking that you were trans was your non-masculine physique, and things like that in general, when those are physical traits and personality and not thought processes. It really feels like you trivialized something that was genuinely serious to me, and not just that, something I had to go through almost half a year of mental torture for. Figuring out yourself is good, but when you do it in basically the span of a few weeks, I don't wish to sound insulting, but I feel like that the way you went around this was inconsiderate of people like myself, and not just that, your ways of secrecy and sudden shifting, and when you sort of show a lack of remorse for how you would hurt some people like myself, or Jackson, and even Timmy. I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel about you. I felt personally attacked multiple times. I felt like you wouldn't listen to someone who obviously understood how this would be more. You avoided people who you had no reason to avoid, who would always try to help you figure out who you were. And when you were around my clique of people who were mostly gay and bi, and then you're just now suddenly around a bunch of trans people and a bunch of other stuff. And considering how you would treat some situations and not consider other things, I kind of feel like that you walked all over myself, Buddy and Timmy, to just sort of fit in with the crowd of people you feel closer with now. And because of that, I have to say that I just don't know if I can respect your identity or take your apparent struggle of possibly being trans seriously when it only came off as you misunderstanding general traits and physical characteristics and small preferences as signs of you being trans. And yes, it is personal, but I'm sorry if this hurts you. But I kept quiet about this long enough, and for all the times I stay quiet about when you hurt me or make me feel like I don't matter in some situations, or my opinion only matters to you when you agree with it, I just don't think I will feel right if I do not tell you that a reason why I will although respect your pronouns but won't respect your apparent struggle is because you didn't respect mine or anyone else's, and still don't by never ever once actually listening to people who wanted to help. And I'm more than sure that I'm not just speaking for myself here, but I am sure that when I feel like you used other people to a lesser extent to make you feel better in the moment leading up to all of this. Now I'm aware that was quite a lot of text to go through, but again I think it's really important to highlight these priorities in these conversations. But I will also point out this point is very interesting in note in why Vii mentions how Joni whilst around Vii was surrounded by mainly bi and gay people and had recently been around trans people during her transition, and how this angered Vii so much, and as I said earlier, Vii admits to having a crush on Joni, leading to my suspicion that this transphobic behaviour was an additional means of controlling Joni to fit into his sexual desires, which is an added layer of disgusting behaviour and the sexual grooming we will see later into this document. The document continues by Vii stating, Joni, you replaced your friends that you used to almost always be around and originally identified with, and when you became closer with these others, you just basically tossed the rest of us to the side and didn't realize what kind of hurt you were going to cause. Like, here's another thing you obviously know. I hide issues that hurt me immensely, or are bothering me if it's something I feel will cause a bigger problem than it's worth. Joni replies by stating, the second of which being the reason, right? And after I said you were gatekeeping it because something that would cause a big problem if you brought it up again. Well, no shit, Joni was worried about talking about this topic to Vii, given his response to learning about Joni being trans was to berate them in massive blocks of texts, not even giving Joni any way of defending herself, just insulting and bullying them over this very difficult decision in her life. These messages do continue on with the same level of transphobia you could expect from someone like this, and I will put some of these examples on the screen as I talk, but I genuinely cannot stomach reading some of these out, and I think you may understand why that may be. The document continues by showing Vii and Joni's Twitter conversations, which contains how Vii felt so betrayed that Joni was different and changing as a person, accusing Joni of using someone called Timmy for pleasure. What is being referred to by this is how Joni would do similar role plays to the one she had with Vii, which makes the accusation really hypocritical and a side of Vii wanting to control Joni alongside accusing Joni of cheating on another person with no basis at all, stating how Joni didn't need to try and make amends with Vii alongside calling her heartless, and yet despite this, Vii would later go on to try and reach out to Joni via email, stating the following. Joni, it's me, Vii. Could you message me on Discord at some point? I know it's out of nowhere and such, but honestly I've had enough of being the one hiding here. And I cannot find your old Discord. I'm tired of crying. Hell, I don't fucking know if you even really check up on this account. I want and need a resolve. I really cannot take this anymore. I miss you. We've been friends for fucking years, and this is how we're being with each other? People who can barely approach the other because we can't just figure out things or how to fix the means of how we hurt each other and how to move on from that? Almost every time a mention of you is made, I go either close to dead silent, or I have to leave the call now because of how worked up I am over all of this, and I try to avoid the topic of you with others as often as I can. I know we had an argument not too long ago in the comments of your video, but can we just put that aside, just so that way I can actually talk with you properly again? Just one more time. I can't deal with texting anymore. If you're able to at some point, I genuinely just can't feel right anymore if we don't work this out, Joni. I'm sorry. I'm just fucking sorry about being so distant. I've just been honestly scared of fucking things up, and I just don't want this anymore. I just want us to be friends. I'm honestly not even myself anymore because of how much this separation of a friendship caused on myself at least. If you feel that you're better off without me, so be it. But at the very least, I'm just sorry. I just at the very least wanted you to know that. Even if we never get this settled between us, because I'm sure that a long time from now, I'll probably be fine. But honestly, I'd rather not have to deal with that. This would lead to Joni and Vii reopening contact and the final conversation they would have together before Joni made her document and twit longer, being an argument over a tweet Joni had made highlighting police abusing power and how Vii took offense to it, saying that Joni researched the example wrong, despite the example Joni used to be quite fair. Most of what I have spoken about regarding Joni's document had made its way to Lio Convoy and Ponder Sprocket. Just after the document was released, the pair were not aware of the grooming evidence yet, unfortunately, when they confronted Vii, but this was that interaction.
So you've been updated on the madness?
I'm still going through the Google Doc. I haven't even gotten to the grooming, and I have so many problems already.
Yeah, I voiced
I
mine very
assume that's
clearly.
with me.
Huh?
I'm very sure that's with me, and I completely understand.
Obviously you don't, because I had to point out this, and when you said, oh, I agree with you 100%, again, you said this is what it looks like, not I was blatantly manipulating Joni and gaslighting them and being a manipulative piece of shit.
Yeah.
He read through one of his back and forths, Joni, concerning Joni's opinion on police, and I already tore into him over that one.
Yeah. I definitely know that I am not like a good person to do that.
The sad sack routine. I cut that out.
Okay.
Let me be honest with you. I can speak for myself. I can't speak for Ponder, but that doesn't endear me to you any
Oh,
further.
Leo, you'll get so much of a kick out of this. You know when people try to imply that they're scared via text, so they do that little stuttering typing thing?
Yes, he did that.
Yeah, he did that when he contacted me.
I see a 21-year-old man doing that. That's really endearing.
I don't know if you can figure out how completely fucking angry I am with you.
Well, you have every right to be angry with this guy. You're right. Again, I haven't found any evidence of him being a groomer, but him being a general slimeball and a douchebag, absolutely, without question. Now, not too long ago, about a year ago, I had to defend Mad Plushie, and Mad Plushie's a complete and utter idiot, but he still got done wrong. I mean, it was fun to defend him. Yeah, going forward, don't roleplay like that. That doesn't endear you to anybody either.
Huh?
I stutter.
Oh. I'll drop that habit.
Yeah, you need to.
Like, to say what, like, I think I pretty much said on my Twitter. I've looked over what I did a lot, and I don't like it, and I'm going to be doing what I can to change how I am as a person, because this just isn't okay.
Actually, V,
None?
I do have a question for you. You were outed, right?
Yes.
Why the fuck did you out Joni?
I was mad and I wasn't thinking. It was a stupid idea entirely.
Like, no real, like, I was outed and it was absolutely horrible.
I've just never been outed before, and I didn't take it the best.
What? No, I'm saying it was fucking horrible for you to out Joni in response, knowing that you'd been outed and you know how horrible it is.
Wait, hold on. You didn't tell me you did that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
forgot
he
about
outed Joni to her significant other at the time.
You did what?
The thing is that I was telling Joni that they should really talk to, like, their partner.
That's
about this
not
stuff.
what you fucking said. You approached Joni and you said, you know, I never lied. Even when I told your boyfriend, where the fuck is it? Yeah, here it is. I never lied to you in all of my time in knowing you. Even when I fucking leaked your stuff to Jackson, I didn't lie.
Okay, first and foremost, no, you shut up and you listen. First and foremost, that was none of your business. It was not your relationship. You are in your 20s. Better learn better real quick. Holy crap. I knew better when I was 14. What's your excuse?
Like, I was, when I heard the ages of those involved, I was thinking, like, oh, okay, well, in any sort, like, yeah, legally V should fucking know better, but in any sort of grooming context, a 2-year age difference? Come on. But seeing this shit, like, I literally would not be surprised if you had been grooming Joni, because this is, like, blatant manipulative behavior where you are trying to tell them that they're not a thing because it doesn't conform to what you're sexually attracted to, V. You get mad at them for joining a group of trans people and figuring out that they're potentially trans when you, a homosexual man, helped them to figure out that they were a homosexual furry? Are you fucking kidding me?
A lot less like concern and a lot more like control.
Yeah.
That's what I got onto you about concerning your tirade. Because again, you demonstrated not just in the chat log you read to me, but also in the chat logs I believe Ponder is reading, if I'm not incorrect here, that you like to go off on tirades demanding people give you answers for XYZ thing when what they are to give you answers for is none of your freaking business.
How dare you lie to me? How dare you not tell me this thing the minute you figured it out? Oh, you mean because they were afraid of rejection and getting yelled at and making people angry? This thing that you're blatantly doing?
Now, currently, I still don't have evidence that you did any grooming. So I will not get on to you about that until we find it, if it exists. So far, again, due to your actions, you're not endearing yourself to anybody here. Regardless of whatever implications you might have about your standards concerning your personal opinion about the trans community therein, the way you acted to your friends abhorrent.
Yeah, I entirely agree to that.
Ponder, I imagine, is probably still reading through those chat logs, so you're probably going to get more of them coming pretty soon.
Oh no, I'm smoking a joint. I can't deal with this stupidity.
I was going to say where that's not legal.
I'm in Canada.
Okay, this is a part I do need to interject on, because what the fuck do you mean you were high when you are confronting someone who has transphobia and, more importantly, grooming accusations against them? And yes, because Ponder was high in this call, she did not continue reading the document, meaning that V was never confronted on the grooming accusations in this call.
I do want to point out, V, you have a habit of, how do I describe it? Spamming people when arguing with them, which is another textbook manipulative thing where you don't let them get a word in. And we could actually see it in the chat with Joni. Joni had indicated that they either lash out aggressively or completely back down, and that's in response to this spamming shit that you're doing and the gaslighting.
I know what you're saying.
Is this to all your friends, or is it just the ones you're attracted to?
I can say that he's done it before, at least within, what, this month? You did that with Dulu in the Fiendish Cavern.
Yeah. Honestly, guys,
Dulu?
I hope that this doesn't like come off as weird or anything. I do appreciate that you are pointing these things out to me, so that way I know how to change like my behaviors and what I do, because I don't want to be. But yeah, again, I like, as much as I don't like to hear it, it's something I do need to hear, and I appreciate that you guys are honest enough with me to tell
Quick,
me.
I have to ask. The Dulu person you spammed, was it Mommy Dulu by any chance?
Mommy Dulu?
That's the only Dulu I know.
No, I'm
Train
talking about
Dulu?
Vabzakin.
Oh, okay, sorry. I know somebody else who goes by Dulu, so I just wanted to make sure, because if it was that person, I'm surprised this boy still has his face attached.
But yeah, I hope it doesn't seem like I'm trying to avoid the call or anything, but like I just want to spend time with my husband because he just got home.
Actually, I did want to ask you a question. How long have you and your husband known each other?
We've known each other for a couple of years.
Specifically, how long have you known each other?
Hey Rye, how long have we known each other?
It's been about
2-3 years.
I'd say 2.
Yeah, like 2-3ish years.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Alright.
If
And for now, I suppose you are dismissed.
Okay. But if I can ask you guys one more favor, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind pointing out the like kind of toxic behaviors, like DM it to me, like just from that doc alone, so that way I know what to work on and like what to fix.
V, there's something
Or-
wrong with like every line of this fucking thing.
We'd have to just send you the link. Like, full stop.
Okay.
You
You know
here's the
what?
thing. If I'm trying to hit a nail with a hammer and I keep hitting my thumb, I don't need somebody to tell me not to hit my thumb. I can just look at the pain on my thumb and the bone extruding and realize
Okay.
I've been hitting my thumb with the hammer.
V, you know what?
The same time.
I'll tell you what. Dulu and I will get into a call and go through this with you, line by line.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Ponder.
No
I really
worries.
do.
Dulu will probably have a very, very fun time.
Ponder, I do appreciate it. I
Mhm.
really do.
Because
Because-
if I could interject for just a second, I don't really know much about what's going on, but dude, I don't think you really need to be spoon-fed here. I feel like you should already figure out exact wrong.
Yeah, I just want to like make sure that I don't miss anything is all. Like I know what my issues are. It's just I want to make sure if I miss something, someone like can point that out to me. I definitely have a lot of things to fix upon myself, and it's just I don't expect other people to fix me. I expect myself to fix me, and I'm going to do what I can to fix the behaviors that I have because it's just.
Well, yeah, I just own the place here, so I have to make sure what's going on here. But
Yeah.
if it's happening in this room specifically, I kind of have to know. But what is this mess?
Yeah, I can tell you two very easy things that you can work on right now. Actually, that will probably help you out a little bit. The whole, putting ellipses at the end of sentences, for the most part, don't do that in most conversations because that's, again, mostly just furry roleplay shit. As a furry, I understand that that's like natural, but don't do it because it does come off as very manipulative. Don't just when you're talking to someone, just talk to them. And aside from that, that like you've done this also with me in DMs where you send one sentence at a time and it constantly comes out to like 9 messages, so I can't get a word in edgewise. Work on shoring that up to one consistent paragraph. So if somebody wants to respond, they have the ability to do so instead of being overwhelmed with messages. Those are two very easy things that you can start with.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely work on that. I've definitely been told about the like one message at a time thing, and like the way that Ponder explained it, I understand the issue a lot better now, and with me, either I'm just going to say just one thing, or if I need to say a lot of things, just write it all in one message.
Because I can only speculate to intent for a lot of things, but it comes across, and if something's going to look bad, that's a good way that it will wind up looking worse because it looks incredibly manipulative.
Yeah, I get you. Ponder isn't wrong when it comes to what she said, and it's
I was in no way implying that she was. I'm just trying to
no.
out here.
No. What I'm saying is, goddamn, what I'm saying is just like knowing how that there can come off as manipulative when I'm not trying to be, and then the times when I am, it's just really bad. And I'm definitely going to work on all of this because it's just this isn't okay. This isn't damn, I lost my train of thought. But
why you gotta be all I wasn't trying to be? Like you were doing so well, and then you were all, oh yeah, but it wasn't my intention. Doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
It's the fact that I did it.
Big boy owns up to his faults and deals with it instead of, well, I was XYZ to explain it away. No, this is 100% on your desk, on your lap. You are culpable. You are answerable for it. There is no but I. Be clear.
I am very
Then I shouldn't have to explain it to you for a third time.
All right. I'm sorry.
Spend time with your husband.
I've just been a little tired out. But yeah, I'll spend time with my husband now, and I'll get to you, lovely, what you want from me.
And
So, yeah.
this-
Again, the main critiques of this call still stand. It was rushed into, and the document wasn't fully read before questioning Vii, which is, to say the least, very infuriating. But again, it does show that Vii admits that what he did was wrong, and because he was mainly pressed on only the transphobia allegations, it may have led to him having a leg to stand on when he was making his own response to Joni's document. But as I had just said, there was also the grooming allegations levied in this document, as Vii and Joni's messages did have a tendency to lean into more sexual discussion. This did include NSFW roleplays and the likes, but there is a clear pattern of Vii breaking down Joni's boundaries and being the one to instigate, sending suggestive memes at one point where Joni states how they're quote-unquote not a porn person, further clarifying how they like suggestive art but not porn. Vii poking at this by stating how Joni thought the shipping art was hot. The screenshots continue with Vii sharing NSFW artwork he was drawing, and also Joni at one point stating how they never sent porn, only fluff. Vii replying by saying that'll change in a few months, with Vii even stating they're going to suck Joni's later, and if she wanted to see his Sona's dick, followed shortly by Vii stating he was going to take a shower, and if Joni wanted a dick pic. The document ends by showing Vii telling Joni they will get them to yiff and they will like it, alongside message history of it being clearly shown that even as a joke at the time, it was clear that Vii was, as Joni puts it, corrupting her. So far, we have had Vii being extremely controlling towards Joni in terms of her gender identity to suit his own sexual attraction to her, alongside anything they say online being berated and nitpicked over, ousting Joni to her partner over her gender identity, and now Vii slowly normalizing more sexual behaviors towards Joni via breaking down her boundaries and sharing pornographic material of himself to said minor. But again, something that appears to be common when it comes to Vii, it doesn't end there. On June the 27th, 2020, Vii Omega would respond to the allegations brought to light by Joni's document via their own document posted on Twitter, stating, quote, "Fuck cancel culture, fuck Jonieroo, and fuck everyone who calls her brave," showing a very confident bravado, replying to said tweet by stating, "This is why you don't trust the victim, especially when they've got no evidence. And if you don't have evidence of your claims like these, you weren't groomed." Now, considering the proof we have seen in Joni's document, this may sound batshit insane, and you would be right, as when we look at Vii's aforementioned document titled "At Chaos Queen 79's Worst Attempt to Try and Cancel Me," we are met with the following, quote, "I'm just gonna have this be written out like this instead of a twit longer, considering that I feel that it's limited and stuff. And considering I would prefer to write it out like this instead, gives me more time to think and how to properly respond to some accusations made towards myself. But considering they're pretty major ones, I feel that a trigger warning should be in order, where if you're unsettled by grooming, transphobia, or say just outright despicable acts, you have been warned." Now, here's what I'm gonna say first. I don't think that Joni is lying. And I'll be honest, my memory is definitely hazy in a couple of areas, and if I get things wrong, I will definitely own up to it, because I won't say I'm completely innocent, but I don't want people to think that someone is a victim when honestly, they're quite clearly not, at least to the extent they'd have you believe. Now let me explain the context that Joni didn't give out, because it's disingenuous and not to mention very fucking scummy to pull and remove context here, considering that you need to understand the whole scope of the situation. Yes, it was 2018 or 2017, something like that. And what had happened was that Joni and I became friends decently quickly, and during this time I was around, say, either I just turned 18 or I was going to turn 19 around this time. Either way, I know I just became 18, and what had essentially happened was that Joni at one point, if I remember correctly, had given off some traits or signs that they weren't as straight as they were thinking to be. In fact, I wanted to do this considering that Joni seemed confused at the time, and like, I knew how hard it was when it came to coming to terms with one's sexuality. And now there was some stuff beforehand, if I remember correctly, but basically me asking general questions, and when things were kind of getting a bit more, I guess explicit is the obvious word to use here, I did let Joni know that I was planning on doing in advance, and I asked them if they were okay with that sort of stuff. Vii then shows a conversation about how Joni was conflicted on her sexuality, and Joni making a suggestive remark about it, which again should fall on Vii to shut down, which Vii doesn't do. and as you may notice from the dates of these messages, the first screenshot takes place several months after the second, which is important to note given how Vii states that in the second screenshot that they didn't intend to be Joni's fuck buddy, and yet this type of sexual behaviour was allowed to happen, and as we saw from Joni's own doc, encouraged. Alongside the following message and point that Vii makes in stating that, quote, Joni didn't say that they weren't a porn person at all, they said they weren't much of a porn person, end quote. Despite the fact in the very screenshot below, they show how Joni had said they were not a porn person. This argument may sound semantical, and that's because it is, but despite all of the reasonings we have seen so far from Vii, it is not justifiable in the slightest. This point is continued via stating, quote, the fact that Joni wanted to stretch the truth this badly, no, not even stretching but outright lying about it is fucking horrible. Like, no joke, it actually makes me fucking sick, because yeah, they never ever told me to not send them porn ever. Yes Vii, because the onus should fall on the minor to state for you to not send them porn, despite the fact that this is a sign of Vii breaking down Joni's boundaries successfully when it came to said topic. The document continues with screenshots we have seen before, followed by the most deranged rant I have seen in a while. Quote, in fact, they never once told me to delete any porn ever, at all. The fact that this crucial detail that Joni wants to use in order to smear my fucking name she outright lied about is fucking horrendous. Fuck you, Joni. I was going to try and talk this out nicely and civilly with you, but the fact that you're this fucking stupid only tells me that you only did this to try and spin a narrative, which I will show how really soon. I didn't groom you, I didn't fucking force you into anything you didn't want, you aren't a victim of grooming, fuck you. You want to say that you weren't much of a porn person back then, but now you want to go, oh, I'm such a sweet little innocent being, when you fucking clearly weren't. You were at times the ones who wanted to make new erotic roleplay ideas. You would go out of your way to roleplay either with myself or a close friend of ours. The fact that you want to distort this makes me look like a former predator. Go fuck yourself, these are serious allegations, and the fact that I once called you a friend disgusts me. But there is in fact one thing I want to bring up, considering that, like, I will admit it was 100% wrong of me to do, the drawing porn of Joni's character when they were 16, although if that really is a point of contention, why did you commission artists or let your boyfriend do it? If it's really something that you feel the need to bring up. Put yourself on the same level of responsibility for a change, or is that too hard? To break this rant down, Vii admits to how it was a bad idea to draw NSFW of Joni's character when she was 16, but in the same breath questions why it was okay for them to commission artists or their at the time boyfriend to do it but not Vii, followed by showing DMs Vii sent to Joni basically begging for forgiveness and wanting to talk, before continuing the document by stating what they did surrounding the transphobia wasn't right and they didn't think that way anymore, and confessing he did have a crush on Joni while still being in a relationship, and stating they would charge Joni with defamation and slander. Yes, because that totally wouldn't end with him being thrown into a cell. Vii then uses his own experience of being predated on for sympathy and claiming how Joni only tried to claim Vii groomed her to make Vii look bad or to quote-unquote cancel him, hoping the same is done to her, claiming that Joni didn't even show proof of grooming, but Vii did? What? And yet Vii in this document never once addresses the claim in how he had sent a dick pic to Joni. After this document released, Vii would go on to make some amendments via quote tweets, justifying him drawing NSFW of Joni's character as him being a different person back then, and how he didn't think it was his responsibility to shut down the sexual discussions, which is disgusting to say the least. Joni did go on to make some small tweet replies to Vii's own document, which I will show on screen, but it mainly consists of things we have already dissected. The day after this document came out, Vii would state how he shouldn't have addressed the accusations when he did, and that he would be taking a break from Twitter, saying he didn't think this needed to be known publicly. And then on July the 2nd, 2020, Vii did go on to claim they were going to release a 400-page document if they felt pressure to do so, basically holding it over Joni's head as a threat, alongside the possibility of a video being made, but this never fell through, as following a series of unnoteworthy Twitter posts by Vii Omega on the 18th of August 2020, he would delete his Twitter account. There is one final note to mention around Joni's experience with Vii Omega, and I feel like it's important to note given how unfortunately Joni's own video talking about this was taken down maliciously, and that is how the now disgraced SCC YouTube creator Susie Doodletones knew about the grooming, or at the least part of it, around Joni and Vii Omega. This came to light via the Skype archives Doodletones forked over before leaving the space between herself and Vii Omega. As you can see, this shows that Doodletones was aware of Vii drawing NSFW artwork of Joni's character at that time, followed by how 2 weeks later, these messages were posted in Doodletones' server, the Cloud Palace. Now, a thing to note about the hashtags is this appeared to be quite a common trend in the old SCC spaces when it came to posting online on spaces like Twitter. Obviously, this was one of the most disgusting examples, to the point Doodletones even references it on stream with Vii Omega stating,
Jonah, I will make you regret it.
The only things that
I will
Jonah
make you regret it.
Hashtag Jonah is a bot.
See, the hashtags are not the only thing that Jonah's spreading.
Joni then goes on to explain that in a commentary video that Doodletones did, they described Joni as Vii Omega's rope bunny, but weren't able to find that clip at the time, but we have that now.
God, we're nearing 4 minutes in, we're already at 5 pages. Maybe I should pull a Sayori.
I'm sure Sketch would enjoy hearing you become a rope bunny.
Dude, I have a boyfriend, what?
Doodletones would also tweet about both Vii Omega and Joni in a sexual manner more than once, as seen here, followed by Joni showing more tweets made by Vii that are just so fucking disgusting and blatant, I'm surprised it didn't get called out back then. And as a final cherry on this shit cake, Vii would constantly lean on people younger than him when he had panic attacks, to the point that a document was made on what to do if he had one, which is a lot less severe of a sin, but still putting the onus on minors to deal with your mental issues is gross. Vii Omega also allegedly handed information in relation to Joni to the creator Kit the Soulless. Given how Vii and Kit were friends at the time, and the language used in Kit's messages to Joni's mirrors what we have seen so far from Vii's own messages with Joni, alongside the fact that Kit the Soulless was a known defender of Kero the Wolf. Speaking of, after Joni's own statement hit the public, it caused a wave of people to have the courage to speak out about their own experiences with Vii Omega, one of those being the user MTR, providing a document listing how Vii Omega may have been in contact and friends with the infamous sadist Kero the Wolf. And no, I'm not kidding. For those of you who weren't aware, Kero the Wolf was a popular furry YouTuber whose main claim to fame was being interviewed by Shane Dawson until in September of 2018, they were caught in what would be known as the Zoo Sadist Leak, a group chat of several furry users who would exchange illegal material related around animals and the abuse, mutilation, necrophilia, rape of said animals. Kero claims the evidence is altered or that they were hacked, but the evidence outweighs any defense that they could make. I will link a video down below on the topic, but the important detail to note is that Vii was in contact with Kero during December of 2018, as seen in these Twitter messages. The conversation between Vii Omega and Kero the Wolf then moved on to Telegram. Vii would confide this information to MTR, stating to MTR that in a call with Kero, they would claim to Vii that the evidence against them was quote-unquote cherry-picked and forged. Vii's defense is that he looked through the logs and stated that it did not match Kero's writing pattern, also stating what Kero did was in the distant past, and that Kero's twisted interests are now only explored in the realms of fantasy. Vii would then go on to explain that there was a police investigation into Kero, but was likely that Kero was innocent due to the quote-unquote shady atmosphere of the logs and how long ago it was. Now, what Vii is saying here is partly true on a technicality. Kero did not get charged with their crimes due to the statute of limitations and how long ago the crimes were committed. The caveat to this was that the statute of limitations meant that when the evidence was given to the authorities, it was literally 1 day too late. This by no means absolves Vii of their wanting to foster a friendship with this disgusting monster, and Vii's attempts to help Kero extended into Vii's Discord server called the Playpen, a server that had the rule of users had to be voted in to join, except Vii made an exception to this when it came to Kero. Unfortunately, that's the limit of how far MTR's document goes when it talks about Vii. However, we do have other information. Now, thanks to the user Pouring O, we have access to more screenshots pointing to how Vii stayed in contact with Kero as recently as 2020 and being in contact with them even before the allegations against Kero. Pouring's DMs with Vii even start with Pouring ask if Vii was friends with Kero due to someone called Undead Meowth telling Pouring about it. Vii's language regarding the topic is wanting to keep that a secret, telling Pouring how they shouted at Undead Meowth for letting it slip to certain people, and trying to explain that Kero had changed. Their messages mirroring those in the MTR document stating how, even though Daft was the one wanting to give me a helping hand to bring me out of commentary like I've been trying to, Kero was kinda simple, considering that he was and still is going through a controversy that makes it hard for me not to want to be there for him, and to be the good friend I always am, and I helped bring him back up onto his feet. And yeah, he's a much better person than what people think he is. Pouring then replies by saying, well, I'll just have to trust your judgment on that. Vii, over the last 3 years, the worst he has done is fap to Pokemon. Pouring, so basically, what you do. Vii, pretty much, yeah. Now, I might as well interject here and say that if you're noticing the name Daft appearing in these messages, that is obviously referring to Daft Pina. And after reaching out to Daft via that creepy reading, they barely remember Vii at all, only remembering that Vii had made a bad commentary video on them, and had tried to reaching out to Daft for their critique. But, moving on, Vii goes on to explain that Kero had been manipulated and lacked good guidance, even conceding that some of the stuff around them was real, stating how, I can understand that point of view, but from what I know, the most he has done is oral stuff with his dog, nothing overly extreme where it could pose a risk or threat to his dog. Alongside stating, I ain't saying you have to accept him or like him, but honestly, I think it's more fair to get angry at him for something current in contrast to something that happened almost a decade ago. Vii's involvement with Kero went beyond a simple friendship, to the point of Vii drawing porn of himself and Kero alongside joke flirting with Kero. For example, Kero sending Vii an audio clip of him moaning, and Vii responding by telling him to moan louder, and claiming that he was the one to write Kero's goodbye letter to the fandom for him, alongside knowing what Kero had rebranded under, but making sure to keep that information private. Thanks to these messages from Pouring, we can definitively prove that Vii was way more connected to Kero the Wolf than we first thought. But that's not where it ends when it comes to Pouring O nor Kero. During 2020, Pouring released a document detailing their experiences with Vii Omega. The messages I will be showing take place in the same time span as the ones I have shown before, predominantly in 2019. Pouring O was 14 years old and Vii was 20. During this time, Vii would exhibit the same behaviors he did with Joni, resulting in him grooming Pouring. The document begins by showing how Vii tried to use Pouring to get in contact with Joni after her document became public, wanting to apologize for the grooming, transphobia, and everything else, which, as we already know, turned out to be quite the opposite given the document Vii released about Joni. The doc continues by showing how Vii and Pouring would do erotic roleplays together as seen on screen, alongside the pair exchanging news with one another, as we can see from these messages. Vii did delete his messages at some point, however it was clearly not out of a place of concern or regret given the conversation continues to be sexual. This continues as Vii complains about how his husband wasn't being sexual with him, even claiming he is a very loyal person. Ah yes, because loyal people talk about jerking off with minors. As we can see here, Pouring describes an instance where that had occurred on call with them and Vii. The second half of the document goes on to describe the general toxicity that Vii would exhibit during their time with Pouring O. I will be showing some of these examples on screen as it does continue to build onto a pattern with Vii, with him being overly toxic and berating of his friends and others around him. And finally, the document concludes by showing the different identities that Vii had gone under during that time after deleting his Vii Omega Twitter account and Discord. However, all of these are out of date as of 2025, but I will be going on to that later into this video. As a conclusion for Pouring section of this video, this does show a pattern of behavior with Vii Omega when it comes to his interactions with minors being predatory and pedophilic, where the age gap between the pair has a lot less ground for a defense of when it comes to grooming and predation. And as a small aside, as I have said previously, Pouring was 14 years old, so they should not be took to blame when it comes to the conversation surrounding Kero the Wolf. On the 9th of August 2020, NekoKoda released a twitlonger of their own statement regarding Vii Omega, talking about a time when Koda was 16 years old and Vii was 19. Due to the pair living quite close to one another, they would often hang out together. Both of Koda's parents were very homophobic and violent, leading to one day when Vii came over to their house to play video games, where things got more sexual. Koda's father had then came home, forcing Koda to put their clothes on quickly, but it didn't stop Vii's sexual advances, despite being repeatedly told to stop before finally giving up on continuing it. Later the same day, Vii would suggest the pair start a polyamorous relationship. Koda would turn down the idea as they weren't interested, but despite this, Vii would then allegedly say things along the lines of, "Oh, you'll get used to it," or "We'll see later." Vii would later go on to apologize for their actions towards Koda, but even that was apparently half-assed. I'm aware that this is a statement, however Vii during this time, where he was still active online, had never once disputed this claim. Once the main allegations against Vii had came to light, Vii's at the time husband Riley caught wind of this, having just married Vii that year and having to take care of a lot of his financial needs since moving in with them, driving them crazy due to Vii always getting into online drama, learning mainly about the allegations brought forth by Joni's document, originally supporting Vii, but as time went on, they realized their mistake. Vii would deny the claims to their husband, trying to justify it, until finally confessing to them that Vii had cheated on them multiple times, leaving them feeling manipulated and tricked, expecting Riley to pick up the pieces and cover for his mistakes. Even leading to one night before Riley's statement was posted, where Vii attempted to commit suicide, expecting Riley to pick up the pieces and cover up his mistakes. Riley has long since distanced from Vii, and I can only wish them luck. BomberPatrol, also known as Dallsmick, released their own video in 2021, mainly talking about somebody called Doodletones, but did mention Vii Omega and their experiences with him. Not much of note that we haven't already talked about in this video, aside from a time where Vii led a raid of someone else's Discord server.
Then there's the time he and some people raided and spammed a fellow named Michael multiple times for exposing a YouTuber that was raiding other people's servers and sending death threats. That's quite ironic. Anytime a server was made by Michael, Vii and co would spam it with harassment and threats. Keep what I said in mind about his former friends, though, because everyone who engaged in that behavior has apologized for doing this and doesn't stand behind it. This is entirely on Vii Omega for basically just using them. This is also just another good example of Vii using vitriolic and harassing countermeasures against people who commit the heinous crime of not agreeing with him on the internet. Repeated and continuous harassment campaigns, something that Sylveon should be all too familiar with.
And more importantly, how they had sent pornographic artwork to another minor by the name of Doodletones, now known by the name Chuuli. I will talk more about that once we get onto Chuuli's section, but for now, Chuuli never gave their permission for Dallsmick to use said evidence in his video. The video also mentions a document that was made for people to vent about their issues with Vii Omega in the Cloud Palace, which I now have access to, which even shows how Vii had allegedly sent an unsolicited dick pic to one of the members. And don't worry, Dallsmick is still important to our story. In 2022, a creator by the name of CosmoStardust explained their own experience with Vii Omega during 2018, detailing how Cosmo wanted to do a video on the creator called Borg, given the topic surrounding LGBTQ+, and as Cosmo was lesbian, they wanted to cover it. It was then that Vii Omega made a tweet trying to claim the topic was his.
After my video was made, I was made aware of a tweet made by Vii Omega, who was planning on hitting Borg's video. But the problem is, he wanted to be the only person to commentate on Borg's video.
Cosmo was only aware of the tweet that Vii had made after she had released her video. This led into Vii wanting to talk to Cosmo, barraging her with lines of text of critique and issues he had with it, claiming Cosmo had taken his topic, despite the pair both being in the LGBTQ+, would mean that they both have equal reasonings for wanting to talk on the topic.
So after I made my video, Vii found it, and then he wanted to talk to me and give me his criticisms, but for some strange reason, for some odd reason, he didn't come to me first. He had someone else come tell me that he wanted to talk to me, which, in hindsight, I find that incredibly strange.
Well, here's another major thing that makes me irritated with your video. You don't cite Berg's video in the description, which makes you look very sketchy. Considering that literally looking at Berg's video proved a lot of your starting point wrong.
Oh, shit. I thought I did.
Then there's also the YouTube scandal. You don't have to source for that. That would kind of be important considering that it supports your argument. And you literally say that little scandal after you say you're going to cite everything. You say in the description below, which you don't label, which was hell and a half for me to look up. I had to look at both video sources and it wasn't fun to label and read up on. There's also you bringing up the government creating laws, which doesn't mean anything. Alright, that's good. Because God, there's a lot to go through. First thing I want to bring up, your premise of unbiased as possible. You remember that using subjective words and calling your target stupid kills that, right?
Yes, I should have taken that out of my script. That was my fault.
Yeah, that was the major issue with the video. In fact, I kinda got onto your case a lot in that instance. Your very beginning actually takes away that unbiased as possible idea. You know there's being stupid, literally the first thing you say. That's not pervading research, which I assume you mean citations. But here's the thing. He does, on screen and in the description. Sure, you could debate that he uses those citations wrong, but he did do research. And you don't bother to bring up how his own sources even prove his faulty premise is wrong. In fact, what you say is a self-defeating argument. Trump cannot remove this unless he does this. And in your idea, all the way through, if he did exactly what you said he could do to do that, kills the entire idea of how Trump can remove marriage equality. Look, I'll link my script so that way you can understand my entire argument, and so that you can go at it at your own pace, and it'll give you a chance to defend yourself before the video comes out. Fuck, I made a bad comm on Dobbs and Tricky Wee, and I disowned it in barely any time, lol. Honestly, don't think your video is the worst by any means. It's just starting off kind of stuff. Arkham Knight Rider is much worse than what you have done here. You just ended up talking about a topic that's my bread and butter.
Okay.
Just don't beat yourself up over the comm.
This would cause Cosmo to want to do another video on the topic, this time wanting to use the critiques Vii had given them to improve from the last one, sharing the script in a server Vii was also in, and also uploading it unlisted for people to give critiques back. And people seemed to like it, but Vii never made any comments on it until the video was made public, where Vii would claim that Cosmo copied Vii and plagiarized his script.
So I posted my thumbnail for the new version and my script in a server that Vii, Omega, and I were in. I had shared my script twice on August 20th, so 2 days before I posted my video. And then I posted the thumbnail the day before. And then I posted the video as unlisted because I wanted to get, my friends' opinions, any critiques, to see if I needed to make any changes. And then I made the video public, either 23rd, 24th, 25th, I don't remember. It was sometime in late August. So he had a chance to look over my script, see my thumbnail, watch my video before it made public.
Okay, Cosmo, I'm going to say this. I'm watching you remake your comm on Berg. Did you at all copy me? Because I know that you read my script on you, which was also on Berg.
I read it a month ago.
And some of the things brought up are kinda similar.
I haven't even looked at it since.
I get that, but even then, the thing is, whatever. If there's new issues, which there is, I'll bring it up with you.
Do whatever you want, dude.
This is better. A lot better. But why did you use the same sources after I showed you why they're wrong? Was this just to be your other comm done right? Or was this to present your past ideas better? Because I'm confused on why you'd agree with my script, with what it brought up, and then still do the same thing with the same kind of points. You know what I mean?
I only read the parts where you addressed me. Again, that was a month or so ago. So if you've made changes, I wouldn't know. And I did this because I hate the original, and I thought to myself, I can do better than this.
Yeah, I get that. But just so you know, there's a point in your old comm that proves this one wrong. your bills thing. Like the way you ended up presenting this as what Trump could replace some people to match up with his ideals, then be able to pass the bills he wanted without question, regardless if the public saw it as unjust. If they deem it to be fine, it would pass.
Ah, okay. I didn't catch that. Thanks for letting me know.
Like, that's the worst moment of this. And I'll be honest, first 3 or 4 minutes in, I kind of started to get a bit angry. Because it feels like you somewhat ignored what I said. Because a lot of what I bring up still proves this wrong.
I mean, if you want to address it in a video, that's fine. You do you.
Like, I will maybe have a script if I feel I need to make one on this. But yeah, this here, although not spiteful, well, seemingly spiteful, still suffers from a lot of the same problems, such as pointless interjection syndrome. Cosmo, you took my point again, using Berg's sources against him. Are you kidding me? Come on, I know you read it. I understand my comm didn't come out before yours, but you know why I'm concerned.
Again, if you want to hit it, go ahead.
I honestly don't know if I want to, because I'm beyond unsure as to what I would have to say to all of this. I don't hate you, but I really don't like this video.
That's fine.
Like, this really just feels like a stab in the back, because I did a lot of digging and decided that I needed to take time to rewrite the stuff, to help you improve, like, a lot more. And I don't feel like I could actually prove that you read my script and blatantly copied me. Because even the points that I made, you did wrong to an extent. As an example, the suicide thing, this isn't suicide in general. Actually, reading Berg's source that he puts on the screen, it does refer to LGBT youth, and LGBT youth specifically. And reading through the article further would lead you to believe that Berg's mentality of the LGBT was more so applied to the youth, and had more than just no reason. Actually, here's the better thing to bring up that you and I didn't mention. Berg's source is about LGBT youth, but this is about gay people specifically he's talking about. No, I'm not covering this. You win. I might cover Berg, but no, I can't cover this.
Stressing Cosmo out and wearing them down. This behaviour continued when a friend of Cosmo's at the time got into a spat with Vii, and for some reason Vii felt the need to barrage Cosmo with message after message to get them to fix it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this now. I'm sorry I blew up about this, and well, I don't have a lengthy comment about your comm on Berg.
I don't care anymore. I just want it to stop. Everyone needs to shut up and let Neko make her video. I'm done with all of this.
Look, Cosmo, I understand this is stressing you out, but this isn't like a thing specifically about you. It's mostly about Avi being overly spiteful towards me for little reason. And the reasons he has to be spiteful is past stuff that I fixed up.
Look, whatever beef you have with Avi is not my concern.
And for the most part, just wanting to toss claims at people without any evidence whatsoever.
Vii, I don't care anymore. I made my video, I stand by what I said, I'm moving on and gonna keep making my commentaries.
Like, look, I addressed you calm with you privately to not make it too big of a deal. And then when I noticed that there was a lot of issues, I pointed out what I felt needed to in the comments. Like, I don't have any malice towards you. I just personally don't like the comm. Avi just doesn't like me.
For the love of God, please stop.
I'm done with that.
I can't stand dealing with this anymore.
But you need to tell Avi to drop the spite. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry, but I really don't want this situation to become that. I just felt the need to defend myself from someone who is trying to claim things about me that wasn't true. I just forgot to untag you, and I really didn't want to get worked up over this.
Vii, please, stop. I want all of this to stop. I don't know how much more I can take.
Maybe just take a break for a bit. Take a bit of a breather. Calm yourself down and just come back when you feel like you could deal with it. That's usually the best option when it comes to something working you up online. Especially when you're just the person who happened to be in the middle of it. I'm really sorry that you got involved with that stupid shit. I honestly didn't think Avi would be the kind of person who'd just do that.
I've been dealing with it all week, and I was calm until this Twitter shit happened. Look, V, I don't hate you, nor do I wish any malice or ill will towards you. Can we just drop all this and bury the hatchet, please?
Until he unblocks me, I cannot deal with the situation. Legit, how can I deal with anything between him and I if he won't let the discussion take place? I would love to have him drop the spiteful hate boner, but it seems like that he cannot because he for some reason can't let it go.
You're both in Ponder's server. Talk to him in a call if you have to. I don't care. Don't pull me into whatever spat you two have.
I'll try to deal with him, okay? If he keeps going, just tell me. And I'll find a way to try and talk to him. Because I honestly just wanted originally to see if, your next comm would be better than the last one. And I just came out disappointed and, well, that's about it. I might work with Kai to help him and you out. But, I'm very sorry that you got involved in this. I'll drop it for now. You just take a bit of a break or something, alright?
To the point of trying to push Cosmo to leave the internet, even leaving what was basically a commentary video in Cosmo's comments section, accusing them of plagiarism.
Comment, quote unquote. I say that in loose terms because he just put a goddamn commentary in my comments section of my video, which at first I was fine with it, but then it was brought to my attention that he decided to say I was plagiarizing and stealing his points. His comment was just rude and condescending, and then that's when I began to start taking screenshots.
Even sending them a script of a commentary on Cosmo, leading into a fight in the comment section of NekoKoda's commentary of Cosmo, where V would use Cosmo's mental state as a shield to stop people from talking about how he had treated Cosmo in private.
Called it! Besides, I'm sure that people are going to take this too seriously too. Too bad Cosmo said it should end at the Kainu video. I guess you guys just want to go on your own accord stressing out Cosmo about this more than she said that she wanted to have this die out after the Kainu video. Interesting. If that's your motivation to show how people are just stressing Cosmo out, I'd like to point out the mirror that's always on the wall for you.
That's some pretty manipulative stuff coming out of you, V.
Well, am I wrong? If they want to go on to others' cases for stressing out Cosmo, how about they practice what they preach? Shouldn't be too hard.
Doesn't change my point.
Yeah, it doesn't change your point, but you know what it does? It shows that yours is incorrect considering what my idea is that if people are going to be getting onto my and Kai's case for stressing out Cosmo whilst continuing a situation that Cosmo wants people to stop, then they're in turn being hypocrites. I'm not telling people that they can't be hypocrites. I just won't take their stance seriously entirely. However, if you wish to present the idea that I'm being manipulative, when I was just saying that if that's what they're wanting to do, they're not helping anything if that's their intent. Do you understand how and why this isn't manipulative now? And might I add how people are getting onto my case for something that actually doesn't need a massive blowup over where people are going to me privately too to try and shit talk me. That definitely shows that you guys don't want any more problems from this situation, huh? Also, what is it with you people thinking everything needs to become a massive argument? I was just trying to make it into an argument, but instead state my...
My point on you being manipulative is subjective, so no, it can't be wrong. I'm literally just saying how you're coming off to me with your wording. I also think it's funny that you're getting on my case for thinking everything needs to become a massive argument when you're the genius writing paragraphs upon paragraphs and comments upon comments in reply to comments consisting of one sentence. Just some food for thought considering you're the one here telling people to practice what they preach.
Being manipulative isn't subjective, Dulu. Secondly, I'm only writing that out in response due to being frustrated.
It is. And none of what you brought up changed my view on that. Sorry, you've lost my respect, honestly.
I am going to say this right now. V, How fucking dare you use my stress and mental strain from the situation to deflect and twist people to your will? That is manipulative and beyond disgusting. You did it here, you did it on Twitter when Junkie criticized you and Neko on Twitter. You think I wasn't going to catch that? Nice try. And when he just couldn't take the heat, he just made an angry tweet to get people to leave him alone. Because he didn't want to accept responsibility for what he had done to me.
Those of you who want to still continue the Cosmo Queen stuff, I won't participate. You can go right ahead and say, oh fuck, he's running away. No, it's called I'm a fucking respectable human being. My friend is currently going through a lot of bullshit because of this, and Cosmo is stressing out over this and telling you people to fucking leave it alone. Yeah, you can not like Kainu's all you like, but guess what? Leave me the fuck out of it. I ended up scrapping the script on Cosmo because of my friend being so goddamn torn from it. Maybe you guys will give me the same fucking comfort that you're willing to give Cosmo and leave it fucking be like she asked you to. Anyone who will try to fucking argue with me over this at this point will be blocked, and anyone who will try to continue this with me will be too.
The way Vii treated Cosmo really puts on display how manipulative Vii can be, causing Cosmo a lot of mental stress during that time. Now, after everything I have just explained so far, you'd think that would have been the last we saw of Vii Omega, right? Well, remember the old CC from the very beginning of this video? Well, in 2022, it had been found out that Vii had been going under another alias, titled We Are the Alt CC, which would target creators like Justice Sylveon, a problematic person in their own right, but known to be a person who targeted creators like Doodletones. Suspicions were then raised further when the account started to harass NekoKoda. This account was then brought to the attention of Lio Convoy, who ended up getting into a call with said person, only for them to find out they were Vii Omega. I will now show you that call, but please keep in mind, I have tried to correct the audio in this call, but there's only so much I can do about the damn wind tunnel Vii is standing in.
So, you recognize me?
I do.
So, after everything happened, I took away every single social media, and I genuinely went out of my way to go find help, and I went through some rehabilitation, and when I found out that there was this fucking predator grooming someone who was a fan of mine, people thought that they were me, I wanted to do something about it.
Fan of yours. How is this person a fan of yours?
Doodle Clones is a fan of the Neo Alt CC channel, which was a channel that I used to run.
Just for confirmation's sake, what was your old screen name? Because I want to make sure I'm not getting you confused with somebody else.
Vii Omega.
So you're Vii Omega.
Yes.
And Nil has been talking to you.
No. We've only sent, well, sorry, because even though there is splits here, we're both the same person, potentially. I've only sent Nil one DM, and we've responded to each other in tweets before, and I think that's about it. Nil has no idea who I am. Nobody else has any idea who I am. I just wanted to take out me and fuck off. Because, frankly, I know that Doodle Clones harassing Susie is my fault. I wanted to do something about that for quite a while. I found out that fucking child rumor was grouping fucking clones. I don't know.
You want to know how I suspected it might be you?
How?
You know way too much about NekoKoda.
Yeah.
Wonder why. So, let me go ahead and cut to the quick here. First of all, you can't do anything about a child predator unless you have their real name and address. And because I don't think you're about to try to copyright strike somebody falsely, you're not going to get it. And most of the things you listed there are not things that you can charge somebody with. Being rude to trans people is not illegal.
I know.
Well, if this is your idea of building cases, then I think you need to stop.
Okay.
I'm going to be, it's not just minor backing off. I'm going to be completely blunt with you, just like I was last time we talked. You remember the last time we talked?
Yes.
When Ponder and I had a nice long conversation with you about some of the nonsense you pulled. Yeah. Do you remember why you were kicked out of the community and why people lambasted you?
Yeah.
Because you were inappropriate with children, too. So what right do you think you have going after somebody else? You think that's going to redeem you?
I don't care about being redeemed.
What you need to
I
do.
just want the predator gone.
You're not going to be able to get rid of him. You want to know how I can tell you're not going to be able to get rid of him? Because you're still around. You did things that were worse than what Neat has done, and you're not in jail yet. So what are you going to do to deplatform Neat? When you have none of this information, what you need to do, what you plainly need to do, is get rid of all of your socials and stay gone.
Okay.
Beat it. I'll handle Neat.
Do you want my evidence that I gathered?
I don't need your evidence. I have my own and plenty of other people who are competent and have not also preyed on children. You are very lucky that I am not the quote-unquote doxer you tried to pretend I am. Otherwise, I would put your information out, because I owe you nothing. And if I catch you in here again, I'm going to.
Okay.
Leave.
I really appreciate.
Beat it.
Thank
you. After this point, Vii Omega would seem to disappear from the public eye for quite some time, or so we were led to believe. Remember Dallsmick? Yeah, well, they were later proven to have been in much closer contact to Vii Omega than we first thought. After the Cloak and Dagger calls in 2023, which I briefly touched on in my Doodletones video, where members of the SCC were aware that a person by the name of Vigelcio was still friends with Vii Omega after his outing and didn't tell members of the Cloud Palace Doodletones Discord server of this fact. Something I disproved in my last video, go check that out, but during that call, Dallsmick would admit to being in contact with Vii Omega.
I got one thing I want to say. If people want to leave, that's okay. But it's something that I didn't get a chance to say earlier.
Go for it.
Because you want honesty, and
I do.
I'm already seeing the just the shit that's going on here. I want to go on record and say I did confess to this too, to multiple people. It is in Susie's DMs. But I'm recognizing just how terrible this all is. So... Vigil had come to me before about V. This was after I knew, though. Are you? I guess for context for this, Liar, are you familiar with the furry YouTuber Kit the Soulless?
I am.
So I was looking into information about him, and Vigil had come to me about this person and gave me some information about the situation with Joni, and I corroborated that with Joni, and it seemed to be good. And I think last year, I don't remember exactly when, it must have been in June, Vigil came to me in a panic because V was apparently having a fucking tantrum about being claimed to be neat. And apparently V wanted to talk to people, so I did extend that, mostly because I was curious when they asked me, and I wanted to get some more information on Kit. And I did get into contact with V, and I learned that they were very upset about it, and I offered, hey, I'll clear up that allegation for you. And then I got a little bit more context for some of the Kit stuff. Not that I fully trusted him, but it was still an opportunity to learn more about that. And pretty much right away, I just regret even doing that.
And after said call, on August the 19th, 2024, Dallsmick would be approached by SCC creators Fractured Light and F-Romentator, where they further questioned Dallsmick about his knowledge of Vii Omega. Through this video, we would learn that between August 2021 and January 2024, Vii Omega had been going under another alias, that being Binary Stalk, aka Retro. And why do we know this? It would turn out that Dallsmick had been in contact with V via his at the time most recent account, Alpha.
V, and even if they do figure it out, who's gonna believe them? What reason would I have defending this community? Dull. True, it's more so what would happen if people figured out you're around, not just in the community but anyone else who had loose associations. V, they'd think I'd lost my mind and am hunting down a pedophile for reasons. And I'm reviving the Alt-CC to make it dedicated to allowing the worst to be called out finally. And, well, why would anyone want to know who the Alt-CC is?
Meaning that Dallsmick had been in contact with V for a very long time. V's DMs were then posted for public viewing via Soul Livy on Twitter. I will play some of those DMs now, alongside some that I found extremely interesting.
And what was in these DMs shows that Doll was aware of quite a bit regarding V's activity at the time. For example, do you guys want to know how we found the binary stork account that V was using? It's because V directly mentioned various names of accounts he was using at the time to Dallsmick. And by the way, V gave quite a few details about his life at the time that should have been very concerning. At one point, he says that there are minors he knows and is cool with. V also apparently moderated a Discord server that was, quote, chocked full of minors, and which had grooming victims, if the following message is to be believed. V specifically told Doll that he was interacting with NekoKoda through the Alt-CC account, and Doll doesn't raise a single objection. And by the way, take note of the different PFPs. We know V was at the very least still using this account when Doll was getting these screenshots, if this is any indication.
V. And because of that, a man who clearly has bad intentions, and the rest of the community refusing to want to do anything, Clones is now under the manipulative control of Neat. Even if you tell me this isn't grooming, the fact that Neat is having interactions or has done things like this with a child, knowingly or not, it doesn't matter. What Neat doesn't realize is that sexual grooming doesn't need to be IRL. It doesn't need images. All that's needed is that the person grooming the other person is benefiting in the way to find gratification. And even if this is a stretch, it cannot be denied that all of these things together don't paint a good picture either. Now, I think it's quite clear why I've highlighted this DM in particular, because V has done worse than what he is describing here, and he himself is categorizing that as grooming. V. I don't want to thank you or forgiveness, I just want your community to please leave me, my ex-husband, my boyfriend, and my friends alone in trying to get to me. That shit is creepy, and when you all crowded my ex asking for more information about me, where I am, etc, etc, mind your business. I almost took my life over that, and you all doubted if I ever felt remorse. Your community doesn't deserve an apology from me. Your community should apologize to me for ever saying I was ever behind this, or that I was Clones or Neat. I don't want your sympathy anymore, because you didn't care when I almost killed myself, but instead cared more about making sure I was dead. Meerkat even went as far as to lying about me over the fact I didn't want to date him.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin. This is serious.
And remember how I said this wasn't going to be the last time we heard about Kero the Wolf in this video? Yeah, V couldn't help himself from talking about them with Dallsmick. V. And that was something I spent years with Kero trying to get him to do and understand, but he just couldn't let go. I only fell in love with him because I thought what I had experienced with him was real. And well, after all that time, he showed his true colors when he got angry at me because I told Vigelcio and another trusted friend that he was coming back and when. And well, I was terrified because I knew Kero was, let's just say that Neat is smarter than him. And though there is more, that's really as comfortable I am talking about Kero right now. Because honestly, I think he didn't date me because he couldn't make me into a zoophile like he wanted. And I don't want to talk about what he tried with me. Sorry for kind of info dumping that on you, but yeah, I had that on top of so many other things in the last 2 years, and well, it was scary when my therapist knew who Kero was. In fact, I was going to make a massive 3-hour-long deconstruction commentary essay on how PK Russell shouldn't be speaking out on issues related to the furry fandom that he clearly didn't understand, weaponized his position of power against smaller content creators, and had even gone as far as to say he was the reason why Spoctor was seen as innocent when trying to defend his stances on Kero the Wolf. And of everyone at the time, I was the only fucking person who was willing to talk to Parker directly. The reason why Jar is a problematic figure isn't because he uses the commentary scene like a militia, it's because he feels like the world owes him something for everything he's been through. Now, I highlight these messages specifically because it shows that Vii Omega and Kero's relationship went further than what we saw last, and how V cites the reason that Kero not being able to make him a zoophile was the reason why Kero didn't reciprocate the romantic feelings towards V. Because yes, that should have been the red flag that caught V's attention, not the fact that he was messaging and befriending a known zoo sadist. During said call, with Fractured Light and Air Fromentator, a lot of the questions are in relation to the situation surrounding Cloak and Dagger, something I don't have the time to explain fully, so I'll be linking the video down below alongside all other resources I've used in this video. As a summary for Dallsmick when it comes to Vii Omega, they kept important information about him hidden, kept close contact with him even after he was outed for predation, alongside ousting a victim's story before said victim was ready to talk about their trauma, which leads us on to our next section. On the 20th of September 2024, content creator Chuuli released a video titled How Heaton and the SCC Ruined YouTube for Me, where she detailed her experience with the SCC and creators within, including Vii Omega, detailing how when Chuuli was 15 and V was 19, V would send them explicit material of his character and discussed sexual topics with Chuuli that he had no right in doing so.
I'm just gonna lay it straight. When I was 14, 15, I was essentially groomed by several adult men in the SCC/adjacent into entertaining their sexualities, which we can see happening in my DMs with Vii Omega, where I was basically taught that being sent porn and having sexual conversations with adult men was normal. I'm not saying it was a coordinated effort necessarily, but it was more than one man. It was several men, and I entertained them when I was 15 as I was taught to. That is until I was about halfway through 16 and I stopped and started pushing back. Hello. So I need to put a little addendum here that I did not plan on doing prior to like a week before this video goes out. So recently I was contacted by Laka about Vii Omega, and I shared with him all of the DMs and testimony I could of V being expressly inappropriate with me while I was a minor, including the screenshot where I mentioned Caden. I told him he was allowed to share all of the screenshots and testimony except for the one that mentioned Caden, because I wanted to be the one to tell that story to the public. And he agreed and respected that. And Laka, thank you so much for doing that, because as you know, and as everyone is about to find out, that was not a privilege I had before. You see, the reason why Laka even knew that I was victimized by Vii Omega at all is because that information was shared in a video by BomberPatrol, also known as Dallsmick, back in 2021. The information in the screenshot included in that video was published without my consent or even knowledge. But you know what? Until recently, I thought about just forgetting that and telling the full story anyways, as if it was the first time anyone was hearing about it. Because the video was deleted when Dall ethered the BomberPatrol channel, even though I knew that the video still existed on an archive website. That is until Laka told me that the archive of the video was circulating again, and how people were looking at and talking about that humiliating screenshot of me being sent porn as a 15-year-old that I didn't have a say in being posted. And the reason it was going around again is because Vii Omega was found to have come back under a different alias. And they knew that because Dall was talking to him through that alias in 2022. So let me get this straight. You couldn't be bothered to talk to the person whose child abuse images you were about to post for everyone to see even once to make sure they were okay with it or even knew, but went out of your way to play footsie with the abuser and talk to him about how he did sexually abuse minors and was in a server chock full of minors. Boy, fuck you.
Now, I will be listing Chuuli's entire video down below, so please check that out to see it in its entirety. We are now in 2025, and Vii Omega has seemingly vanished from online spaces and is no longer present in SCC/ACC spaces, and yet they remain one of the most known predators in the space, having preyed on several minors, harassing several members of the space, including his victims even after being outed, lent aid to a known zoophile and animal abuser, sexually assaulted someone in their own house, and is overall a manipulative and abusive individual who I can only hope we will never see again. I would like to thank everybody who has helped me in the making of this video, those being Efromentator, Lio Convoy, Night I Die, Poringo, Jonieroo, 8363MTR, and That Creepy Reading, those of whom I relied a lot on when it came to me researching this topic. I would also like to thank Safaruni, who made this video's thumbnail, Hidden Heroine for making the artwork in the Vii Lio Ponder Call section, and Matthias for the artwork used in the Vii Lio Call section. Videos like these take a long time to make and research, so please consider leaving a like and subscribing. This has been Yen, and I'm going to sleep.
What's your name?